20-band Japanese sports cars that changed the game forever. All right, speed freaks, gather in. Some cars weren't just fast, they were forbidden. Japan built machines that looked clean, quiet, almost modest, yet governments worldwide refused to let them run free. From banned GTi-Rs to outlawed Evos and rally weapons so dominant they got kicked out of the sport, these cars changed the rulebook forever. And wait till you see the one that scared an entire racing federation. Let's dive in. 20. Nissan Skyline GTi-R R34, a car that looked like nothing more than a clean, squared-off coupe, yet carried a secret loud enough to get it barred from American roads. Built as the final evolution of a bloodline that terrorized racetracks, this machine hit a twin-turbo straight-six, pushing 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque, and enough grip to embarrass supercars with a 0 to 60 of roughly 4.9 seconds. But the real punch came from its brain, the ATTESA all-wheel drive system that read the road faster than most drivers could blink. And that's where the trouble began. The power, the tech, the import headaches, US regulators shut it out, claiming it didn't meet crash and emission standards. Some whispered it was just too advanced for its time, yet even legends have flaws. It was heavy, thirsty, and expensive to maintain. But none of that stopped enthusiasts from chasing it across oceans, or paying supercar money for a car they weren't even allowed to own. 19. Nissan Skyline GTi-R R33. It looked calmer, softer, almost like the sensible sibling in a wild family. The kind of coupe no one would fear at first glance. But the moment you learn it's the Nissan Skyline GTi-R R33, the tone shifts. Under that rounded body lived the RB26DETT, pushing 276 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 around 5.2 seconds, supported by an evolved ATTESA system that made it unnervingly stable at speed. Some drivers said it felt like the car was anticipating every mistake before they made it. But Americans never got to feel any of that. Federal crash tests, emissions hurdles, and certification costs shut it out completely. Another chapter in the GTi-R saga sealed off from US roads. And sure, it had its flaws. Heavier than the R32, overshadowed by the R34, and trickier to modify. But now, it's the forgotten GTi-R everyone suddenly wants back in their garage. 18. Nissan Skyline GTi-R R32, a car that looked like an unassuming four-door coupe could ever intimidate the fastest machines on the road. Yet that's exactly what it did. Meet the Nissan Skyline GTi-R R32, the original Godzilla that turned racing circuits into playgrounds. Beneath its simple lines, the RB26DETT engine churned out 276 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time around 5.6 seconds, enough to embarrass much pricier supercars. Its Atessa all-wheel drive system and Super Hikus steering made it feel surgically precise, almost as if the car was reading the track for you. But its dominance came with consequences. The US never saw this icon due to strict crash and emissions regulations. It wasn't flawless, weight distribution wasn't perfect, and early models could be temperamental. But for enthusiasts worldwide, the R32 became a legend, a banned, untouchable predator that proved Japan could rewrite the rules of speed. 17. Mazda RX-7 Spirit R. This one looked almost fragile, like a delicate sports coupe from a quiet neighborhood. Yet it carried a secret that could make even hardened track veterans blink. This was the Mazda RX-7 Spirit R, the final evolution of the legendary FD chassis. Its twin-rotor 1.3-liter engine pumped out 276 horsepower, 231 pound-feet of torque, and launched to 60 miles per hour in just 5.3 seconds, all while weighing under 3,100 pounds. Featherlight, razor-sharp steering, and a perfectly balanced chassis made cornering feel like cheating. But beauty had its limits. Only a tiny number left Japan, restricted by tightening export laws and emissions regulations, keeping most of the world from experiencing its magic firsthand. However, the rotary could be thirsty, maintenance was expensive, and the Spirit R demanded respect behind the wheel. Still, for those who drove it, this banned beauty became a legend too fast to tame. 16. Honda NSX-R. Number 16 looked more like a refined Grand Tourer than a weapon of the road. Yet anyone who pressed the pedal quickly learned it wasn't here to make friends. The Honda NSX-R stripped the standard NSX down to its raw essence. Lighter, stiffer, and sharper. Its naturally aspirated 3.2-liter V6 delivered 280 horsepower and 224 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds, all with the precision of a surgical scalpel through corners. The aluminum chassis and finely tuned suspension made it feel alive, almost psychic, as it anticipated every input. But the brilliance came with a barrier. Most markets never got the NSX-R, blocked by export restrictions and homologation rules, leaving only whispers of its perfection outside Japan. And yes, it was a stiff ride, minimal creature comforts, but its combination of precision, speed, and rarity cemented its legend as one of Japan's most feared restricted icons. 15. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5. A car that looked like a tidy, unassuming four-door sedan until you learned it was engineered to terrify rally stages worldwide. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5 packed a turbocharged 2-liter inline-4, delivering 276 horsepower, 274 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time around 5.4 seconds. Paired with an all-wheel drive system and active yaw control, it hugged corners with surgical precision, leaving even seasoned drivers questioning their own skills. Lightweight and brutally responsive, it blurred the line between street and track. Yet the United States never experienced its fury firsthand. Regulatory hurdles, emissions, crash tests, and certification kept the Evo 5 from crossing oceans, making it a forbidden prize for enthusiasts. It wasn't without issues: stiff suspension, turbo lag, and pricey upkeep. But those minor setbacks couldn't overshadow the Evo 5's reputation as a band powerhouse that reshaped what a compact sedan could do. 14. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6. A sedan that looked like the kind of daily driver you'd see quietly cruising through suburban streets. Yet underneath, it was tuned like a street-legal rally missile. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6 sharpened everything the Evo 5 started. Turbocharged 2-liter engine, produced 276 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of roughly 4.7 seconds, a shocking number for a four-door in 1999. Improved cooling, beefier aerodynamics, and an even smarter AWD system made it feel glued to the pavement, especially when the turbo hit its stride. But the US never welcomed it. Safety certifications, emissions rules, and cost barriers kept the Evo 6 off American soil, turning it into a legend fans could admire only from afar. Sure, it had quirks, stiff ride, maintenance that demanded commitment, but its mix of aggression, control, and outlaw status ensured the Evo 6 became one of Japan's most wanted forbidden machines. 13. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 7. A seemingly ordinary compact sedan hiding a secret that could humiliate sports cars twice its price, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 7 arrived in 2001, packing a turbocharged 2-liter inline-4, producing 276 horsepower, 274 pound-feet of torque, and hitting 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds. With an upgraded all-wheel drive system and active yaw control, it transformed corners into controlled chaos, giving drivers a feeling that the car was reading the road for them. Subtle aerodynamic tweaks and a more refined chassis made it sharper, faster, and deadlier on both street and track. But for US enthusiasts, it was off-limits at launch. Strict emissions laws and crash test regulations kept this evolution from American roads, leaving fans to lust after it from overseas. It wasn't perfect. Like all others, the ride was stiff, and the turbo demanded respect, but these flaws only added to the mystique of a banned, game-changing rally legend. 12. Subaru Impreza WRX-STi version 4. This one might have seemed like a mild-mannered rally-inspired compact, but that reputation ended the moment the turbo spooled. The Subaru Impreza WRX-STi version 4 was the ultimate iteration of Subaru's golden era of rally dominance. Its turbocharged 2-liter flat-4 produced 276 horsepower, 274 pound-feet of torque, and sprinted to 60 miles per hour in roughly 4.9 seconds, all while the symmetrical all-wheel drive system made traction feel unfair. Sharp steering, perfectly balanced weight, and that iconic STI chassis gave drivers the confidence to push limits others wouldn't dare. Yet despite its pedigree, US roads never got the official version 4. Tight emission regulations and certification hurdles blocked the import, leaving enthusiasts to chase private imports and wish lists instead. But the interior comfort was minimal and turbo lag could bite. But those minor drawbacks only made it a forbidden rally icon, one of Japan's most desired banned performance machines. 11. Toyota Supra Twin Turbo J ZA80, Canada banned for years. The Toyota Supra Twin Turbo J ZA80 was the crown jewel of the 90s. Its 3-liter inline-6 twin-turbo churned out 276 horsepower, 318 pound-feet of torque, and rocketed to 60 miles per hour in about 4.6 seconds. Paired with a rear-wheel drive layout and balanced chassis, it delivered laser-sharp handling while offering enough brute force to leave high-end European supercars behind on a straight. But for Canadian fans, it was off-limits for years. Stricter import rules, crash tests, and emissions standards kept this legend locked out, turning it into a forbidden prize that could only be admired from afar. It wasn't perfect, heavy compared to rivals, and maintenance could be demanding, but its combination of power, precision, and outlaw status cemented the Supra twin-turbo as one of Japan's most iconic banned sports cars. 10. Nissan Silvia S15 Spec-R, a car that looked like a subtle Japanese coupe, but every corner told a different story. The Nissan Silvia S15 Spec-R carried a naturally aspirated 2-liter engine, producing 250 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in about 5.6 seconds, paired with a lightweight chassis that made it a razor-sharp handling machine. Rear-wheel drive, perfect balance, and finely tuned suspension turned even a casual drive into a precise dance on asphalt. Yet the United States never officially welcomed it. Safety and emissions regulations blocked its import, leaving enthusiasts to chase gray market versions or simply marvel from afar. It wasn't without its flaws. Maintenance could be tricky, and power wasn't over the top. But the S15 Spec-R remains a forbidden icon, a car that proves subtlety can hide ferocity. If you love cars that break rules, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's next. 9. Honda Integra Type R DC2. On the outside, it seemed like a typical, quiet coupe, yet every spin of the engine revealed a wild side. The Honda Integra Type R DC2 was a lightweight masterclass. Its 1.8-liter naturally aspirated inline-4 produced 197 horsepower, 130 pound-feet of torque, and hit 0 to 60 in around 6.4 seconds. Numbers that might seem modest until you feel how razor-sharp the chassis and steering are. With a near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution and aggressive suspension, it handled like a scalpel through corners, giving drivers a precision few cars of the era could match. But Americans never got the chance to experience it firsthand. Strict crash test rules and emission standards kept this legend confined to Japan. It did have its quirks. Interior space was tight and it demanded skill, but it earned its status as one of Japan's most revered band icons. Which Type R would you rather drive first, the DC2 or the newer DC5? Drop your choice in the comments. 8. Honda Integra Type R DC5. This car appeared polished and approachable, the kind of car that blends in anywhere. But once you hit the gas, its raw aggression was unmistakable. The Honda Integra Type R DC5 carried Honda's naturally aspirated 2-liter K20A engine, delivering 217 horsepower, 159 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of about 6 seconds. Lightweight, stiff, and razor-focused, the chassis and suspension gave it near-perfect handling precision, while the high-revving engine made every shift addictive. It was a machine that rewarded skill and punished hesitation, carving corners with surgical accuracy. Yet the United States never officially saw it. Crash test compliance and emissions hurdles kept this masterpiece confined to Japan, leaving fans desperate to import a rare jewel through limited channels. The stiff ride and aggressive ergonomics challenged comfort, but the DC5 Type R cemented its place as one of Japan's most iconic forbidden sports cars. 7. Toyota Celica GT4 ST205. It carried the appearance of a refined, unassuming coupe, but on the rally stage, it struck fear into every rival. The Toyota Celica GT4 ST205 carried a turbocharged 2-liter inline-4, producing 276 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in roughly 5.6 seconds. All-wheel drive, active differentials, and rally-honed suspension made it unstoppable on gravel, tarmac, or snow, earning Toyota multiple championship wins. Every corner felt like a calculated strike, every straight a weapon, but its dominance had consequences. Officials caught modifications that gave it an illegal edge. ST205 was famously banned from the World Rally Championship, a car too good for the rulebook. Maintenance was brutal, and turbo lag could bite in tricky conditions. Still, its outlaw legacy cemented the Celica GT4 as one of Japan's most fearsome and forbidden rally legends. 6. Mazda RX-7FD Bathurst R. The Mazda RX-7FD Bathurst R was a limited edition beast, powered by a 1.3-liter twin-rotor engine producing 276 horsepower, 231 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in roughly 5.2 seconds. Featherlight and razor-sharp, its perfectly balanced chassis and responsive steering made every corner feel like second nature, while its racing-derived upgrades gave it the ability to embarrass far more expensive supercars. But most of the world couldn't touch it. Export restrictions and strict emissions laws kept the Bathurst R mostly in Japan, making it a forbidden legend for collectors and enthusiasts alike. However, the rotary maintenance was demanding and fuel consumption high, but its combination of precision, rarity, and raw power made the RX-7 FD Bathurst R one of Japan's most coveted and restricted sports cars. 5. Nissan Pulsar GTi-R. At first, this car was just another hatchback, but the engine inside could turn any course, rally or street, into a battlefield. The Nissan Pulsar GTi-R packed a turbocharged 2-liter inline-4, pushing 227 horsepower, 210 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in just 5.8 seconds. Lightweight, all-wheel drive, and turbocharged to perfection, it handled like a scalpel on tarmac and gravel, with an agility that made larger, pricier cars feel cumbersome. But its dominance came with limits. Group A rally regulations, combined with homologation rules, led to restrictions and effectively banned the GTi-R from some competitions, cementing its reputation as a forbidden performance machine. There were issues. The interior space was tight, and turbo lag could catch drivers off guard. But for enthusiasts, the Pulsar GTi-R became a cult legend, a small hatchback that proved rules could be bent and sometimes broken. 4. Toyota Chaser JZX 100. On the surface, it was a sleek, everyday sedan, but push it and it turned into something extraordinary. The Toyota Chaser JZX 100 Tourer 5 hit a turbocharged 1JZ inline-6, producing 276 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in around 5.5 seconds. Paired with rear-wheel drive and a chassis tuned for precision, it handled like a street-legal drift machine while maintaining the poise of a luxury sedan. Every corner became a calculated attack, every straight a quiet threat. But U.S. enthusiasts never got to experience it. Crash test regulations, emissions compliance, and import hurdles kept the Chaser locked out of America, turning it into one of the most coveted forbidden Japanese sports sedans. Stiff suspension and maintenance costs demanded commitment, but its rare combination of comfort, speed, and outlaw status made the JZX 100 a car that quietly rewrote expectations. 3. Nissan Stagea 260R S Autech, a car that looked like a family wagon, yet under the hood, it was a secret supercar in disguise. The Nissan Stagea 260R S Autech packed the legendary RB26DETT inline-6, producing 276 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in roughly 5.6 seconds. With all-wheel drive and a chassis tuned for precision, it could outrun far flashier sports cars while maintaining the appearance of a practical station wagon. Every curve became a playground, every straight a statement that looks can deceive. But for U.S. enthusiasts, it was off-limits. Crash and emissions regulations, combined with import restrictions, kept this sleeper legend confined to Japan, fueling its mystique and cult following. Weight made it less nimble than some rivals, and maintenance was demanding, but its combination of stealth, power, and outlaw status made the Stagea 260R S one of Japan's most fascinating banned cars. If you love hidden legends like this, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next one. 2. Honda S2000 Type S. The Honda S2000 Type S carried a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline-4, producing 240 horsepower, 153 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in around 5.8 seconds. With a near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution, razor-sharp steering, and a chassis tuned for feedback, it delivered a driving experience that could humble much more expensive machines. The engine's redline, an astonishing 9,000 RPM, made every shift an adrenaline rush, blending mechanical purity with outright performance. But most of the world never got to enjoy it. Export restrictions kept this masterpiece mostly in Japan, ensuring that the Type S remained a rare, coveted roadster. Its combination of lightweight agility, high-rev thrills, and forbidden status cemented the S2000 Type S as one of Japan's most legendary restricted sports cars. 1. Nissan 180SX Type X. Now, the number one on our list seemed like a quiet, unassuming hatchback. Yet anyone behind the wheel quickly discovered it had a wild side. The Nissan 180 SX Type X packed a turbocharged 1.8-liter SR20D ET engine, producing 205 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque, and sprinting to 60 miles per hour in about 6 seconds. Rear-wheel drive, lightweight construction, and finely tuned suspension made it a corner-carving weapon, capable of drifting with precision or surprising unsuspecting drivers on the straights. Its balance and responsiveness turned every road into a playground, proving looks could be dangerously deceiving, but it never officially reached the U.S. roads. Crash tests, emissions compliance, and import regulations kept this sleeper legend out of reach for American enthusiasts, enhancing its forbidden aura. Engine mods were almost required for peak performance, and interior space was minimal. But the 180SX Type X remains a cult classic, one of Japan's most iconic banned sports cars. Which one of these banned Japanese legends would you take for a late-night run? Quiet, unassuming, but terrifyingly fast. Drop your pick in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and get ready, because the next video is going deeper into Japan's hidden sleepers.